Across America, three symbols appear anywhere gun owners gather. Two ancient words, a hand-stitched flag with a tiny cannon, and a white skull that escaped from the pages of a comic book. They're printed on rifles, etched into steel, stitched onto vests, flown from poles, and slapped onto the backs of trucks. But behind every decal and patch is a story older, darker, and far more powerful than most people realize. Their stories don't begin in modern politics. They begin in war, revolution, and one man's descent into vengeance. 2.5 millennia ago, in the narrow pass of Thermopylae, a few thousand Greeks stood against the largest invading force the world had ever seen. Persian envoys demanded the Spartans lay down their weapons, a simple command delivered with absolute confidence. But instead of surrender, they received two words meant to outlive the men who spoke them. Molon, Labe. Come and take them. They were not a motto or a boast. They were a declaration that freedom was worth more than survival, a refusal to submit, even in the face of annihilation. For centuries, the phrase slept in dusty history books, until modern Americans found it again. Gun owners resurrected it, stamped it on steel, stitched it on flags, and carved it into the culture of the Second Amendment. A message reborn. You may demand our weapons, but you will not take them. Jump forward 23 centuries to the Texas frontier. A rough settlement called Gonzales, a small bronze cannon, and a government tightening its grip. Mexico had loaned the settlers the cannon for protection. Now, rising tensions made the commander demand it back. To the settlers, it wasn't about artillery. It was about control. If they surrendered this, what would come next? So they refused. Volunteers gathered. And as Mexican troops advanced toward the town, a group of Gonzales women stitched together a white flag, a black silhouette of the cannon, a lone star, and four words destined to ignite a revolution. Come and take it. The meaning was clear. If you want our means of defense, you will have to take it by force. The first battle of the Texas Revolution erupted from that moment, and the flag born from scrap cloth became a cultural lightning bolt. Today, the same design hangs in gun shops, ranch gates, workshops, and shooting ranges. Sometimes the cannon is replaced with a modern rifle, but the message has never changed. We will not be disarmed. The third symbol in this story did not come from ancient battlefields or revolutionary flags. It came from the inked panels of a 1974 comic book. A Marine veteran named Frank Castle stepped onto the page, broken, grieving, hollowed out by the murder of his family. He was not a superhero. He was not a moral guide. He was what emerges when justice collapses and a man decides to take the world's violence into his own hands. On his chest stretched a stark white skull, a symbol meant to lure gunfire away from his head and onto the armor beneath, a symbol of fear, inevitability, and the cold precision of retribution. But something unexpected happened. The skull escaped the comic. Special Forces units began painting it on helmets, vests, and Humvees. Police officers adopted it, sometimes proudly, sometimes controversially. Gun owners embraced it as a badge of toughness, resolve, an absolute personal responsibility for their own protection. To many, the skull says this: I protect my own. I do not rely on a system that might fail. I am the line between my family and whatever would harm them. To others, it is a warning, a symbol of vengeance, not justice, and a reminder of how thin the line is between guardian and vigilante. But regardless of interpretation, the skull has become welded into American firearms culture. A visual shorthand for the weight of self-defense, the cost of being one's own protector, and the personal burden of stepping into danger so others do not have to. 3 symbols, 3 eras, 1 message. Molon Labe, come and take it. The Punisher skull. Ancient Greeks defying a king. Texans defying a government. A lone fictional Marine defying a world gone lawless. Different stories, separated by centuries, yet all orbiting the same idea. No one has the right to strip you of the means to defend your life. These symbols spread because they tap into a feeling shared by millions of Americans. The belief that the right to bear arms is not a hobby or a pastime, but a safeguard woven into the fabric of personal freedom. Molon Labe speaks to the refusal to surrender that freedom. Come and take it echoes the courage to withstand pressure from powers larger than oneself. The Punisher skull embodies the heavy responsibility of protection when the world fails to do its part. Together, they form a language of defiance, a reminder that freedom is fragile, that safety is never guaranteed, that the burden of defense often falls on ordinary people willing to stand their ground. That is why an ancient Greek phrase, a makeshift Texan flag, and a comic book emblem ended up side by side on rifles, flags, stickers, and gear. They are not trends. They are not marketing. They are warnings carved across time. Freedom is only as strong as those willing to defend it. So when you see those symbols, Greek letters on a rifle, a Lone Star flag with a tiny cannon, or a stark white skull stretched across the back of a pickup, remember what you are really looking at. Not decoration, not merchandise, not some passing fad. You are looking at a legacy, a chain of defiance stretching from a narrow mountain pass in ancient Greece to a ragged frontier town on the eve of revolution, to the modern American who refuses to outsource the safety of their family to chance. These symbols endured because the idea behind them endures. Power will always demand obedience, and there will always be those who answer with resistance. Molon Labe, come and take it. Not just phrases, not just icons, but a reminder that the price of liberty is vigilance and the willingness to stand firm when the world tells you to kneel. That legacy now rests in the hands of anyone who carries these symbols forward. Not to glorify conflict, but to remember that freedom survives only when people are prepared to defend it. And as long as those symbols fly, the message remains unchanged. If you want to take what protects us, you will have to come for it yourself.